When the first autumn storm hit the sanctuary at dawn, every gorilla ran for shelter. Every single one, except Nyota. The keepers found her standing in the middle of the outdoor enclosure, rain pouring over her, completely still. They tried calling her inside. Nothing. She wouldn't move. Then the second storm came. She did it again, same spot, same position. By the third storm, the keepers were terrified. Something was wrong, very wrong. But they had no idea what she was doing out there, until someone finally remembered what had happened in that exact spot 4 months earlier. But before we continue, subscribe so you don't miss another touching story like this one, and write in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. 6:47 a.m., September 18th. Marcus's radio exploded with static, jolting him awake. Code yellow. Nyota won't come inside. She's been out there for 20 minutes. Marcus threw off his blanket and ran. Heavy rain hammered the roof of the keeper quarters. Through the window he could see sheets of water, thick as fog. And somewhere in that storm, Nyota was standing alone. He burst through the door of the observation building. Jennifer stood at the glass, face pale. "I've tried everything. She won't move." Marcus looked out into the enclosure. Through the downpour, a dark shape stood motionless in the center, not seeking shelter, just standing there in the worst of it. 23 minutes, Jennifer said. She ran toward the rain. Gorillas despised rain. They'd abandon food mid-bite to get under cover. A gorilla choosing to stand in a storm was like a human choosing to stand in fire. Marcus grabbed his poncho. "I'm going out." He pushed through the keeper entrance into the enclosure. The wind nearly ripped the umbrella from his hands. Rain struck his face like needles. The outdoor habitat had transformed into a gray, hostile world. Mud, water, chaos, and in the middle of it all, Nyota. Marcus approached, slowly, boots sinking into the mud with each step. "Nyota, come on, girl, let's get you inside." She didn't turn, didn't acknowledge him, just stood there, rain streaming down her massive back, pooling around her feet. Her head was tilted down, staring at something on the ground. 20 feet away, Marcus stopped. His breath caught. Nyota's right hand was pressed flat against the mud, fingers spread wide like she was touching something precious, something invisible. Her shoulders trembled, not from cold, but from something deeper, something Marcus recognized but couldn't name yet. He looked down at the spot she was staring at, just muddy earth, trampled grass, rain turning the ground into soup. There was nothing there, nothing except... Marcus's chest tightened. A memory flashed. Late May, a different storm, a tiny body, cold and still. Oh God, this is where it happened. This is where Amani died. 4 months ago, a freak storm had torn through the valley with no warning. Lightning, hail. Temperatures dropping 20 degrees in an hour. Marcus had arrived at dawn to find Nyota cradling her 9-month-old son against her chest, rocking him gently, desperately. But Amani's lips were already blue. His small chest wasn't moving. Fulminant pneumonia, the vet said later. Respiratory failure so sudden, so catastrophic, there was nothing anyone could have done. The vet had worked with primates for 17 years and said he'd never seen a case progress that fast, from healthy to gone in less than 4 hours. The cold, the stress, his compromised immune system. It was a perfect storm. Literally. And it had happened right here, right in this spot, in Nyota's arms, while thunder cracked overhead and rain poured down, just like now. Marcus felt his hands start to shake. The umbrella dipped, spilling water down his neck, but he didn't notice. He was staring at Nyota, at the way her hand pressed into that muddy ground like she could reach through the earth and pull her baby back. "Jesus, Nyota," he whispered. She moved then. just slightly. Her head tilted down further. Her other hand joined the first, both palms flat on the ground now, pressing, searching, remembering. Marcus couldn't breathe. He'd seen grief before, seen gorillas mourn. But this was something else. This was a mother returning to the place where her world ended. Marcus backed away slowly, heart hammering. Inside, Jennifer stared at him. What's she doing? He couldn't answer. He just watched Nyota kneel in the mud, both hands on the ground. She's remembering, he finally said. That's where Amani died. They stood together in silence, watching Nyota through the glass. 20 minutes passed, 30. The rain began to ease, and only then, only when the storm started to fade, did Nyota slowly stand up, look at the sky one last time, and walk back inside. Marcus thought it was a one-time thing. Grief doing something strange. Something temporary. He was wrong. 1 week later, the second storm came, and Nyota did it again. September 25th, 7:14 p.m. Jennifer called Marcus. She's doing it again, 37 minutes in the rain. When Marcus arrived, Nyota was exactly where he knew she'd be. Same position, same spot. Hand pressed to the ground. Dr. Sarah Chen was already at the observation glass. Marcus arrived, breathing hard. That's where Amani died, he said quietly. During the May storm. Sarah went silent. They both watched Nyota through the rain-streaked glass. Her hand never moved from the ground, like she was holding on to something only she could feel. Like letting go meant losing him all over again. 20 minutes later, the rain stopped. Nyota stood slowly, looked up at the clearing sky and walked back inside. She didn't eat that night, just sat in the corner of the indoor habitat, staring at the wall. That's when Marcus started documenting it. He wrote in the log, Nyota remains outside during precipitation. Events. Fixated on NE section of outdoor enclosure. Location of infant mortality, May 18th. Pattern emerging. Behavioral monitoring ongoing. October 3rd, third storm, 2:18 p.m. Marcus saw it happen in real time on the security monitors. A cold front rolled in fast. Dark clouds swallowing the sky. The outdoor alarm sounded. Rain imminent. All gorillas headed for shelter. All except one. Nyota bolted toward the northeast corner like she'd been shot from a cannon. She reached the spot just as the first drops fell, dropped to her knees, and pressed both hands into the earth. Marcus grabbed his poncho and her favorite fruit, sliced mango. He entered the enclosure. Nyota, look what I brought. She glanced at the mango once, then back to the ground. No interest. Marcus knelt 6 feet away, rain hammering his shoulders. I know you miss him. I know this is where he was. But you can't do this every time it rains. You're going to get sick. Nyota's eyes met his then. Just for a second. And in that brief moment, Marcus saw something that made his blood run cold. Recognition. Understanding. She knew exactly what she was doing. She chose to be here. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't a gorilla lost in grief. This was a mother making a conscious decision to return to the place where her son died, no matter the cost. Then she looked away, back to the mud, back to the ghost only she could see. Marcus set the mango down beside her and walked back inside. An hour later, when the storm passed, she ate the fruit. Then she came in. But the pattern was locked now, every storm, every single time. She went to that spot, and Marcus had no idea how to help her. October 17th, the worst storm of the season arrived with a vengeance. The Weather Service had been warning about it for 48 hours. Severe thunderstorm warning. Hail possible. Wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Dangerous conditions. Marcus spent the morning securing everything, checked every lock, every gate, Every emergency protocol. The indoor habitats were warm, reinforced, safe. Everything was ready. Everything except Nyota, 4:53 p.m. The storm hit like a freight train. Lightning split the sky in jagged white scars. Thunder shook the building so hard Marcus felt it in his chest. Rain came down in solid sheets, turning the world gray and wild. He ran to the observation windows, heart already sinking. And there she was. But this time was different. This time she wasn't standing. She was lying down. Curled on her side in the mud, both arms wrapped around that spot where Amani had died, holding the earth like she could still feel him there. Dr. Sarah Chen stood beside him. "Marcus, we have to get her. The lightning—" "I know." A lightning bolt struck somewhere close. The crack was instantaneous, deafening. The indoor gorillas screamed and scattered to the back of their habitat. But Nyota didn't move, didn't even flinch. She just held that muddy ground tighter, like it was the only thing keeping her anchored to the world. Marcus made his decision in that moment. He grabbed the heavy-duty rain gear, yanked open the keeper access door, and stepped into hell. "Marcus, what are you doing?" Sarah shouted. "Something I should have done weeks ago." The wind almost knocked him off his feet immediately. Rain lashed his face, stinging like 1,000 tiny knives. He could barely see 3 feet ahead. But he didn't need to see. He knew exactly where she was. He walked straight toward her through the mud and lightning and howling wind. His boots filled with water. His clothes were soaked through in seconds. Thunder crashed overhead like the sky was tearing apart. And when he finally reached Nyota, lying there in the storm, holding on to the place where her baby died, Marcus didn't try to pull her away. Didn't try to convince her to come inside. Didn't try to fix anything. He just sat down next to her in the mud, right there in the middle of the storm. And he stayed. For a long time, neither of them moved. Marcus sat cross-legged in the mud, rain pouring over him, while Nyota lay curled on the ground, arms wrapped around the earth. The thunder rolled. The lightning flashed. The rain never stopped. Marcus didn't try to talk to her. What could he say? He'd lost people too, his brother 7 years ago. Car accident. And there were still days when Marcus drove past the intersection where it happened and had to pull over because he couldn't breathe. You never really leave the place where you lost them, he thought. You just learn to visit less often. He didn't know how long they sat there. 10 minutes, 20. Time dissolved in the storm. Then Nyota moved, just slightly. She lifted her head and turned to look at him. Really look at him. Her eyes were inches from his, rain streaming down both their faces. And in that moment Marcus saw something shift. Like she was seeing him. Not as a keeper trying to make her do something, but as someone who understood. Someone who had sat down in her grief instead of trying to pull her out of it. Slowly, so slowly, Nyota sat up. Mud covered her arms, her chest, her hands. She looked at Marcus for another long moment. Her fingers trembled against his shoulder. The same tremor he'd seen the morning she realized Amani wasn't breathing, when her hands had shaken trying to wake him one more time. Then she did something she hadn't done since Amani died. She reached out, placed one massive, gentle hand on Marcus's shoulder, and leaned against him. Marcus wrapped his arms around her and held on. They sat like that in the storm, a gorilla and a human, holding each other in the place where a baby had died, while the rain washed over them both. After a few minutes, Nyota pulled back, looked at the muddy ground one more time. Then she stood up, turned around, and walked toward the indoor shelter. Marcus followed her. When they reached the entrance, she went inside without looking back. 1 week later, the next storm came. Light rain, no thunder. Marcus watched the monitors, holding his breath. Nyota stood up, looked toward the outdoor door, then walked to the window instead. She stared out at the rain for 5 minutes, at that spot. Then she turned around and started eating. She didn't go outside. 2 weeks later, heavy rain. This time, Nyota did go out. She walked straight to the spot, knelt, placed both hands on the ground. 2 minutes, then she stood up and came back inside. No lying down, no hours in the storm. 3 weeks later, another storm. Nyota went to the window, watched for a moment, walked away. She spent the afternoon grooming Kito's daughter, making soft vocalizations. The pattern had changed. Today, when it rains, Nyota sometimes goes to that spot. A few minutes, she touches the ground, then comes back. She's not trying to bring Amani back, she's remembering. The keepers let her go now. They've learned what she taught them. Sometimes you have to sit in the grief. Feel the rain. Touch the ground where your heart broke. And then, when you're ready, you stand up and come back inside. Did this story touch your heart? If yes, write yes in the comments and subscribe to the channel. Now, answer honestly. Is there a place you return to, again and again, because someone you loved was there? Yes or no? Write your answer in the comments and leave a like. Thanks for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.